If you're a DoorDash driver, I'm going to show you one of the biggest mistakes that so many Dashers make that prevents them from seeing more orders and more money just by following one simple thing DoorDash tells you to do, but you shouldn't. Because if you make this mistake, you can cause oversaturation and limit your orders and money you are seeing. You will see other drivers go right past you and make more money while you're sitting around waiting for when the next $5 order is coming into your phone. While DoorDash is hoping for you to do this, it can cost you big time. Hi, my name is Kim, and I've been doing DoorDash for the past 7 years with over 18,000 deliveries, and I've seen so many drivers make this monumental mistake and don't realize it until it's too late. And now you are surrounded by floods of drivers, and that is telling them your own personal hotspot. Not to be confused with DoorDash's hotspot. In this video, we are going to go into what's the difference between a DoorDash hotspot and finding your own, how to find your own personal hotspot, and why once you find it, you will never tell anyone. Before I get into the real of hotspots and why they're so important, I have made this mistake myself. And they say learn from your mistake, and this was a huge lesson that I've learned through the years. And if you watch some of my older videos, I was very forthcoming of where I worked, how I worked, where I sat, and I gave it all out there. Well, now, if you look at my videos, I black out everything. I sit in areas that no one can identify. And if anybody thinks they actually know where I work, they don't. Because I now keep it to myself. I no longer work in the markets in areas that I used to work in many moons ago. I have personally found my own personal hotspots that I know can produce for me and how I am successful as a DoorDash driver. Now, we all have goals, and goals are super important, but how you get there is another thing altogether. You don't want to be that dasher sitting in your car waiting for 20, 30 minutes to go by while the person next to you keeps getting orders after order after order just because you shared where your location is. And it is as simple as sharing it with a friend who does DoorDash, sharing it with a driver that you get into a conversation with at a restaurant that you think, oh, you're helping someone out. And then next thing you know, that person shares the information with another person, another person, another person. And just when you think you're by yourself and you're getting the best orders, hey, guess what? You're now flooded with drivers and you just oversaturated your own personal hotspot. What is the difference and what exactly am I talking about with hotspots? Now, DoorDash, on their map that you see every time you go to log in, they give you a red sort of heat map, so to speak, with a little fire somewhere in that red spot. The red spot is supposed to tell drivers to go to these areas because this is where orders are being generated. This is where you can get the most amount of money. That little fire is a restaurant that has the most amount of orders during that time frame. It refreshes itself every 8 to 9 minutes, I believe. The problem with DoorDash's hotspots, and they will never tell you this, so I'm giving you some inside scoop, is every driver that has logged on to DoorDash and is dashing now sees the exact same hotspot that you are seeing. And guess what happens? All the drivers look at it and go, oh, I need to go there because that's exactly where the orders are. Wrong. And that's why you need to find your own personal hotspot, because those are flooded with dashers. Yes, they might be the most popular restaurants and the most busiest restaurants, but there might be an overabundance of drivers trying to get that one order that everybody is trying to get at the same time. You just caused, or DoorDash just caused drivers to transcend on this one area so they know they have enough drivers in case this area gets busy. What I've learned over the years is to find my own personal hotspots that aren't on the DoorDash map. Go ahead. Let me know if you're an experienced dasher and you have found your own personal ones, because I think this is the key to a lot of people's success on the DoorDash app. The reason why you want to do this is because you are now removing yourself from a flood of drivers and you're finding an area that there's a minimum amount of drivers and you can get orders quickly. I'm not saying they're good orders, but I'm saying that you can get orders. Your order volume increases because you left the competition in the dust. And once you find that spot on the map that no one knows about, don't tell a darn soul. We'll get into that in a little bit. So how do you find your own personal hotspot? A lot of it is working your market and getting to really know the ins and outs and working not just what DoorDash is telling you to work on the map. It's branching out and exploring different areas. The biggest advice I can give you is to open up the DoorDash app right now. You can do it as I'm talking. And you want to look at where you're at, and you also want to see what restaurants are busy, what has long wait times that aren't in the areas that DoorDash is telling you to go to. You want to find these little clusters of restaurants that are kind of combined. If you do shop and delivers, you want to find a cluster that has maybe some shopping in there, some fast food in there, and also some sit-down restaurants. That's like the perfect trifecta, right? You have many options that you can get orders from. And a lot of times these aren't in the areas that DoorDash tells drivers all about. I have found many throughout my years of doing this. And once you find it, it's going to be a good thing for you. But the key though is really finding it. Once you look at the DoorDash app and find out what has long wait times, what is busy, then you can go there and see whether you're getting more orders. Unfortunately, a lot of this is experimental. You might not be successful at it right off the bat, but once you find somewhere that you're consistently getting orders and you're like, wow, this is like the best spot ever, that's where we're going to get into not telling anyone. Why should you never tell anyone once you find this perfect spot? You don't want to have drivers knowing exactly where you're at, and then everybody descends on this place that you found that actually gives you orders. Believe me, it has happened to me, like I said in the beginning of this video. It only takes you telling another dasher in your market and then telling another person and then them telling another person, especially if they know that it's successful. Next thing you know, your hotspot's not a hotspot anymore, and you just ruined the money and the orders that are coming into your phone. The whole entire key of this is to maximize the time you're out on the road to get orders, and to, unfortunately, a lot of times utilize the programs DoorDash has for you to be a successful driver. The minute that more drivers find out about it is the minute you take your order volume down, and that lessens your opportunities, which lessens your money. It is really important that you keep it to yourself. Even if you have a distant cousin that DoorDash is in your own town, keep it to yourself. I know family is family, but I am telling you, I promise you, this is sound advice, and I don't want anybody to make the same mistakes that I have done. I know it's easy for a lot of us to go into a restaurant, you're waiting around and you strike up a conversation with another Dasher. And it could be as simple as, hey, how's it going? You know, is it slow? Are you finding it as slow as I am? Or, hey, I've had a really good week. Are you finding you had a good week too? Oh, really? Where are you getting orders from? And then it snowballs from there. And it could just be people being really friendly, but it also could be people fishing for information so they can be more successful than you are. So when you find it, keep it to yourself. I promise you, you will not regret it. And once you find that personal hotspot, it's going to be the best thing ever when it comes to working the DoorDash app. So you're going to have to let me know, have you found a hotspot that you absolutely love that you think nobody knows about? Or have you ever made the mistake and told somebody and your hotspot wasn't a hotspot any longer, and you'll never make that mistake again? You know, I do a lot of DoorDash content on this channel. I release videos almost every single day. You're going to want to check this one out next if you want to start binge watching more DoorDash videos.